I'm just going to move on from this and get back to news coverage. The last thing I will say is this. I don't like Ben Shapiro. I hate Ben Shapiro's policies. I am not this obsessed with Ben Shapiro's life. Okay? I don't sit around and wait for Ben Shapiro to say something in a direction so that I can like clip it and make content out of it and like think about the parasocial nature of Ben Shapiro's like personal relationships are with other people. There are Anyway, let's get to it. So we got Apple. We'll get to that later. We'll start off once again with Israel. Anthony Blinken is heading to Israel again to push ceasefire deal with Hamas, even though he's pushing the Israeli side of the conversation for a ceasefire. Enough. All right. Anthony Blinken, once again, like I said, going back to the news, Anthony Blinken is headed to Israel again to get Israel to sign on to their own motherfucking proposal. Weird.
This morning, our senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is tracking the administration's latest efforts to bring about a ceasefire. Good morning, Selena.
Hey, good morning, Michael. The president urgently wants an end to this war. His team is doubling down on a ceasefire deal. As you say, Secretary of State Blinken just landing in Egypt. Then he heads to Israel, trying to push that agreement forward. Now, this comes as Israel faces criticism for the high civilian death toll in that latest raid. U.S. officials say that they did provide intelligence to support that mission, but there was no U.S. military support. Now, there are still 5 living Americans believed to be held by Hamas. U.S. officials say they have not seen any information to verify claims that an American hostage was killed in that latest raid, but they are still looking into the allegations. Now, the White House says it is both tragic and heartbreaking that so many innocent people were killed in that military operation. They acknowledge that Palestinians are going through hell in this war. Now, as for the resignation of Benny Gantz from the Israeli War Cabinet, well, the White House is not commenting on that, but it is clear that the pressure is mounting on Israeli Netanyahu. He still has not publicly endorsed Biden's ceasefire deal that he had proposed and laid out. The hope here is that if Hamas accepts that deal, well, the Netanyahu will have no choice but to do the same. George?
Okay, Selena, thanks.
The US Secretary of State is embarking on another tour of the Middle East in an effort to boost support for a ceasefire in Gaza. It is Antony Blinken's 8th trip to the region since the war between Israel and Hamas began last October. During the 3-day visit, which begins in Egypt, he'll urge Arab leaders to pressure Hamas into accepting the draft peace deal unveiled at the end of last month by President Biden. Meanwhile, Benny Gantz, one of the most senior members of the Israeli War Cabinet, which was set up after the Hamas attack last October, has resigned from the group. He had threatened to stay.
Yeah, there's also information from the released hostages, the rescued hostages. It's like pretty much the same stuff that you heard from them before, which is obviously our greatest fear was Israeli planes. Hara spoke with former Israeli hostage Louis Har, who was rescued from Gaza by Israel's army in February. I can tell you that being there, it is hell. This is a hostage that was rescued in February. Rescued hostage learned Arabic, Russian, and Hamas captivity. Mother reveals, like, for the most part, hostages have been saying the same thing that they're like. I mean, maybe some of them will say something new this time around. Who knows? But like for the most part, the testimony has been fairly consistent of those who have been released, which is that they were being defended against Israel's own weapons because that was their only point of leverage.
Stand down unless he felt there was a post-war plan for Gaza with a deadline set for yesterday. He told reporters he wasn't satisfied, and this is the moment he confirmed he was standing down.
Unfortunately, Netanyahu is preventing us from approaching true victory, which is the justification for the painful ongoing price. And this is why we quit.
I heard you got triggered by a comment. Did I? I don't even know what you're talking about, brother. Hopefully you can be a little bit more revealing about what you mean.
The National Unity Government today with a heavy heart, yet we feel that it is the right decision. We are now in the midst of a campaign that will impact the fate of Israel generations ahead. In order to guarantee...
I saw some sort of post that said you got mad at Austin or something. I'm confused. I got mad at one of my closest friends and my podcast co-host because of a post that you saw on Reddit. I think you should reconsider and try to recognize context, nuance, how people operate. They're talking about Saturday stream when Austin asked if you're mad at him. Is the TikTok fell off clip chimp you knew was coming? Yeah, I think so. There's nothing funnier. There's nothing funnier than parasocial Redditors and like, you know, neurodivergent losers who cannot fucking read a moment, fantasizing about the relationship dynamic between two people who know each other personally, who are podcast co-hosts, who you know, stay at one another's houses. But hey guys, you guys know better online. I don't understand how this in particular is done by other content creators themselves. I genuinely don't understand it. Like, I get why parasocial watchers will fucking develop these sorts of attitudes, but it is pretty funny when it's goaded by like a literal content creator. My cousin with the Serbia, they got 20 milligrams Zins. Oh my God.
True victory this coming fall when it will be the 1 year.
Was just asking a question, but I'm a loser, I guess now. Sounds kind of triggered to me. Brother, you're doing a really bad job of trying to like just ask questions. But yeah, it is loser behavior if you think that like a subreddit of a 5-second clip, being a subreddit post of a 5-second clip and then making assertions off of that and then coming in here to be like, I heard you got triggered, is pretty loser shit. And I think that you should know that. Hopefully you'll recognize that and then won't do it again in the future. Not against me, just in particular. I'm just asking questions. I don't know if I'm the one who's triggered here. Seems like you might be the one who's triggered.
Anniversary of this disaster, we should go for elections and reach a new government. I call on to Netanyahu, set a date for elections.
Well, let's go live to Jerusalem now and join our correspondent there, John Donison. Good morning, John. So what's the reaction been to this so far?
Well, look, I think this is a significant moment, but it's not going to bring the government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu down because his coalition still maintains its majority in the parliament. But you have to remember that Mr. Gantz joined the government and the war cabinet in the wake of the October the 7th attacks as an act of unity. And what this shows now is that there is no unity on how the war is being conducted in Gaza, and in particular, as you said in your introduction, in terms of a post-war plan. It also removes a relatively moderate figure, and Mr. Gantz is a man with vast military experience from the cabinet, and someone I think who was particularly well respected by the Americans. And I think what people think could happen here is it will see the government shift to the right. Those more extremist elements within the Israeli government could have more say. In particular, Itamar Ben-Gvir, the security minister, he has already said that he should replace Mr. Gantz in the war cabinet, and he is someone who completely rejects the idea of any sort of ceasefire deal with Hamas.
So what does this mean for President Biden's plan that was presented at the end of last month? Antony Blinken is in the region again, and his hope is to try and persuade Hamas to come on board. But now Israel, what Israel thinks about that plan is changing, presumably.
Yes, I mean, Mr. Blinken is going to be trying to put pressure, I think, on both sides. He's due in Cairo and then in Israel a little later.
No clip of Hasan raising 100K, but 5-second clip of a 2-day-old stream. The rage bait is #1 of some subreddit is crazy. It's not crazy. It's expected. It's a cancerous, toxic subreddit. LSF is what we're talking about. Yeah. And there were, I mean, listen, you just don't pay attention to it. Move on. Who gives a fuck? Do people really not have that much going on in their lives? They spend time in their day scrolling through degenerate online forums. No, I think the saddest part about it is the people that literally fucking comb through streams to find something from like 2 days ago to be like, see, we caught him. And the thing that you caught me in is just nothing. The problem with that is it's like a very obvious attempt to be like, hey, don't pay attention to all the fun shit or the good shit that's going on over there. And look at this is drama. There's a lot of losers out there. There's not really much you can do. There's a lot of sad, pathetic people online that do this kind of thing. as a passion project. They don't even get paid to do it, which is kind of crazy to me. The weird thing is that your fan channels on TikTok posted it as a funny thing and people blew it out of proportion. Yeah. Yeah. Austin and I hate each other. The podcast is over. It's done. These guys are right. He really got me. He frustrated me to no end. And that's it. Fear End is done. During Pride Month, nonetheless. Yeah, it is kind of like that. That should show you everything, though. My favorite comment was how you threatened to cancel the podcast law. Wait, people are saying that podcast is canceled? That's awesome. Maybe just roll with this one. Yeah, we canceled the podcast. Don't show up next Monday. Please, to see the dynamic of the relationship and how it's changed dramatically for the worse. It's pretty easy to slip into online loser behavior when you're bored and scrolling all day. That's why you need new hobbies. I agree. Literally Austin yesterday. Yeah, he must hate you. Yeah. I thought posts about you weren't allowed. No, posts from a particular community that very clearly get brigaded are not allowed, but that doesn't stop people from posting clips out of context like this and then immediately fucking upvoting it into oblivion. It's pretty funny though, because like the comments are, the LGBT allegations are true. 100K raised for charity last night, by the way. Austin checking on him at the end because he knows he's going to have a change of Hasan's diaper at the top of the hour ad break. Hasan is malding on his Discord, reacting to this comment, Lamau. Why is he so fragile? He doesn't hate LSF. He just hates whenever people criticize him in any way, shape, or form. Like, they're literally sitting in the Discord being like, ooh, did we get him? And it's like, no, dude, you didn't. I know it'll make you feel like you did, but you didn't. Yeah, the non-D commenters seem to be getting tired of this shit, at least. Yeah. They love when you say a particular community because it makes them think you're scared of them. No, I'm not. I do feel bad for them, though. That is real. I do legitimately feel bad because, like, this can't be healthy. You know what I mean? Like, think about it this way. How long is this fucking clip? A 26-second clip, okay, of me talking shit back to my podcast co-host who's staying at my fucking house, okay? A very close friend of mine. Clipped out of context, 100,000 views, updated into oblivion by Redditors being like, that's right, they're so mad at one another. He's so upset about falling off. The next day, 30K stream over the course of fucking 8 hours with a shit ton of content creators raising $100,000 with this community in 8 hours, right? A phenomenal achievement, I think. Literally the reason why I do what I do, because, you know, this is the community at its best. Not a single post of it whatsoever. That's precisely what I was talking about. Pointing out how toxic of a shithole LSF has become, and perhaps was always, and how easily brigaded it is. No mentions of that, but just this. This is the top post. They look at that, they see it in the Discord, and they go, he must be malding. Which is ironic because as soon as this clip happened, I told Austin on stream, as you guys remember, that my haters will clip this and post it and brigade it, which they did. Two friends riffing with one another on camera turns into drama. When in fact, the reality of the matter is the exact opposite of the way that they are presenting it, but it doesn't matter. And I don't know what to do about it. Like, it always reminds me of that time when people were like, oh, he wants to kill himself. He's really sad about falling off. And it's like, well, one, I haven't fallen off. And two, I wasn't even sad at all. So how do I address someone, an entire community, in their own hug box, in their own echo chamber, deciding collectively that I have felt really, really bad, like that I'm suicidal even? Like, how do you deal with that when it is not the truth at all? You just keep living your life, right? Have you considered that no jokes are allowed? Yeah. Nothing you can do is a sad echo chamber of self-delusion. It's not a reality. It's an insulation from reality that we can all see. Yeah, but the way that the internet works is that insulated false reality can become the reality for so many people. So is it reality at that point? You know what I mean? It's perception. If enough people are completely detached from reality and a false reality is presented as truth, in the eyes of many, that could be seen as the reality. It's how propaganda works, you know? And I genuinely don't know how to deal with it. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. ultimately, at the end of the day, if enough people want to collectively bring about like this psychosis upon themselves as their anger and frustration develops a shit ton of resentment that ultimately is very unhealthy, then, you know, have fun with that, I guess. It's funny because it is not a thing that, it's not about like a thing that can be addressed other than asking the person themselves, right? Like it would be as though if people were like, no, Hasan is faking it. His wrists aren't injured at all. How can you ever address that? If someone was saying like, no, I've decided collectively that Hasan actually lied about his wrists. He just was tired and he didn't want to complete the challenge, let's say, right? In a hypothetical. How could I ever convince someone that that is not true? You know, there's no way for me to prove that, no, I am in pain. Like, it's just they've decided collectively that it's not the case. Anyway, love your broadcast, big man. We did basketball yesterday. Congrats on the money raised. We covered basketball for 2 hours and we're stuck on drama for 1 hour. Is this a drama or political channel? You're wrong. It's a secret third thing. It's a top of the hour ad break channel where I give you a 3-minute ad break and tell you that you can avoid said ads by subscribing for $5 or for free. Trying to address it, maybe just giving them more fuel. I mean, it's just, I'm showing how fucking stupid it is. There's not much else you can do in that situation. The only other streamer who amped this type of shit will be X when he goes live. Oh yeah, for sure. Anyway, the real drama is at the top of the hour. But they see it as a W for them when you address it. I don't give a shit. Hawk Duranks, thank you for the 5 community give the subs. He's 3-minute ad break now.
But he's got a tough job, and those ceasefire talks don't really seem to be getting anywhere at the moment.
Oh, Time Without OO says, chat, all the resignation does is 1, place Gantz in the opposition, where he'll actively join the fight to bring the coalition down, and 2, likely bring Ben-Gvir and Smotrich into the war cabinet. This means the far right will have full direct control on war policy. However, in about 2 hours, the Knesset will hold a consequential vote to do with the Haredi conscription, which, if it fails, may potentially bring down the government in a matter of weeks. Shit could go either way. I'm here for the drama. Things are so tense, and it's not reported in international media. Yeah, the Haredi coalition has actively made a big stink about not having Haredi serve in the IDF. One of the parties even actively calls for a ceasefire now, which is also unique, right? Oh, yeah. Breaking news: CNN, UN Security Council approved the U.S. proposal for a permanent ceasefire and release of the hostages in Gaza. Yeah, this was an American-backed plan, so I don't know if it's the exact one that UN Security Council voted 14-1 to back U.S. proposed Israel-Gaza ceasefire plan. We'll get back to this in a little bit, but yeah, the UN Security Council adopted a U.S. proposed resolution endorsing a ceasefire plan aimed at ending Israel's war in Gaza, the first time in 8 months of deadly conflict. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh says Israel's attempting to block ceasefire efforts as U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken embarks on a trip to the Middle East. The Palestinian group accused Israel of committing a complex war crime with its attacks on the Nusayrat refugee camp that killed 274 Palestinians, including at least 64 children. Hospitals crippled by months of Israeli attacks and a blockade appeal for international help as they struggle to treat increasing number of patients. World Food Program pauses delivery of Gaza aid through the U.S.-built pier over safety concerns after Israel's deadly raid. At least 37,124 people have been killed and 84,712 injured in Israel's war on Gaza since October 7. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's attack stand at 1,139, with dozens of people still being held captive in Gaza. Wonderful. That was the price of their for hostage extraction. Is there evidence the U.S. cooperated with the Zions on the deadly raid on al-Nusayrat camp? The United States has said that they've cooperated. We don't know the extent of their cooperation. I've seen some reporting with like U.S. military gear, personnel with like U.S. military gear and signifiers that they're a part of the U.S. military, like the reconnaissance group markers on some of the soldiers on the ground. They have said, the American government has said that there were no boots on the ground. There have not been any boots on the ground. The helicopter extraction did take place near the pier, near the U.S. pier, as in like the area that the United States has carved out for the pier. The Delta Force photo is from earlier. I believe 4 hostages were saved, but 3 were killed in the process, by the way. The only Hasan hater I know, IRL, is severely antisocial and addicted. They hardly go outside. They're incredibly unhealthy. I don't think this hatred of yours is the cause of these problems, obviously, but I think it gives more perspective. These people who are obsessed are deeply unwell. Most people don't know who you are, and I think that's really hard for them to comprehend. Yeah. More details will come. More details will come in the upcoming days. Oh, fuck my hands. I'm neurodivergent and don't go outside yet. I don't hate you. No, I don't think that all neurodivergent people who are agoraphobic hate me. I'm saying that like most of the people who do have a deep passion for hating anyone, really. Like, dude, the way, okay, look, I don't want to talk about the haters that much, so I'm just going to move on from this and get back to news coverage. The last thing I will say is this. I don't like Ben Shapiro. I hate Ben Shapiro's policies. I am not this obsessed with Ben Shapiro's life. Okay? I don't sit around and wait for Ben Shapiro to say something in a direction so that I can like clip it and make content out of it and like think about the parasocial nature of Ben Shapiro's like personal relationships are with other people. There are moments where it becomes like a major news story, like the deviation of Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro, and Candace Owens like leaving the Daily Wire, being fired by the Daily Wire. But beyond that, like it's not something that I'm like obsessed with to that degree. And he is completely the opposite of me, right? In his worldview, in the ways that he advocates, in the things that he advocates for. And for me, like people will say like, oh, you talked about his wife before. And it's like, yeah, wet ass P word. Like that was a major meme. It was super fucking viral. Okay. Like there are moments where I do talk about shit like that. But again, I'm not the one who is like creating the drama actively and desperately trying to create drama out of his personal relationships or whatever. Yeah, Hasan has paid assassins or haters to discredit him. I mean, I don't think they're paid. That's the worst part. I think that they're just doing it for free for the most part. I don't comb through hours of Ben Shapiro content to pull out a 10-second long clip and rant about it for 2 hours. Exactly. And that's the point. Like, because it is unhealthy to be that obsessed. Getting paid online is bad. I mean, to me, yes. If you're actively like trying to make targeted content towards like some random fucking Twitch streamer who doesn't know you exist at the behest of another Kick streamer who also doesn't know you exist, like, what the fuck are you doing? What kind of war are you fighting? Is this good for your mental health? Is this good for your sanity? Is this the best use of your time? I personally think it's not. Anyway, it's very, very, very unhealthy. Let's continue.
Moment. And the danger is that for Mr. Netanyahu, that if he agrees to go ahead with this ceasefire deal, which he has suggested he would do. Of course, the Americans are calling it an Israeli plan. Then the likes of Mr. Ben Gvir, who I mentioned earlier, have said they will pull out of the government. And that would bring the government down, and it would mean fresh elections. And that is something that Mr. Netanyahu is desperately trying to avoid. So it's going to be fascinating to see what unfolds in the next few days. But I don't think people are holding their breath for any sort of ceasefire deal soon. Okay, John, for now, thank you very much indeed. John Donaldson there in Jerusalem.
Anyway,
nothing I do is performative. So I'm not going to, for instance, I'll use Hasan as an example. I'm not going to talk to a black person like Trihex and say, hey, the N-word, it's always black. What do you think black people?
What a liar, dude. What a Weasley little liar, dude. What a Weasley little liar, dude. Holy shit, dude. Holy shit, dude. Literally lying. Still lying to his audience. Can someone at least enlighten Destiny that he's literally lying to his audience? What a piece of shit, dude. Holy shit. America deserved 9/11, dude. I'm saying it.
We're there to partner with them. We're not there doing our own thing. We're there partnering and training
in a video game,
equipping and enhancing their capabilities. So that's part of what we're doing. And the other part is just knowledge. We want to know what's happening.
Like we totally brought it on ourselves, dude. Holy shit. We did. We did in a video game.
Amazing.